Welcome, everybody, to episode 4 of the Legacy Lounge with Chris and Rene. And man, I'm excited today. I have somebody in this studio that gives me a lot of motivation, that's for sure. Been watching, met him a while ago. And man, I got a good list for you. You know, athlete, entrepreneur, just feeds into the kids with his organization. Title speaker, extraordinaire. The list goes on, but Coach V, welcome to the show, man.
Oh, Brother Rene, Chris, thank you so much for having me, man. Great to be here in the lounge. If you haven't been here and you don't know, now you know.
There it is. And man, we met a few years back at your golf event. Had heard of you, didn't know you until that time. But even that speech, right, to start off with, and when you addressed the crowd, I'm like, who is this? And I need to know. And man, blew me away, and I knew I needed to speak with you more. And it's been going on from there, man. That was a great way to get introduced to you, and your energy is just infectious, man. Where does that come from, man?
Yeah, just grateful for God's amazing grace. Now, I am a cussing Christian, so you meet me on the street or in the court, you might not think so, but God's unmerited favor and grace, the anointing upon my life, definitely where I come from, being born in Tonga, and then, my parents instilled in me just a love in people and a service that was almost self-sabotaging, that you just help others, the family, and the culture above everything. And so I found a balance in that in my life thus far in terms of just some championship experiences, growing up in Pomona, California, where if you're not a good dude and you're a schmuck or a punk, there is a course correction in the hood or anywhere else in the corporate world. So I found that doesn't serve anything, being a punk or being overly egotistical, because I am a pretty super confident person, but faith, family, and community is really what it has transpired into this Viliami Tuivai that everyone knows today.
Man,
yeah.
Man, can you say that, Chris? Can you?
No, I want to know what it means.
It means William, turn around war, turn around fight, and then Tuivai means king of the water.
Man,
love it. William Kingwater. Before I got married, that was my club name.
So are you comfortable in the water?
You know what? Yes, but not. I'm a decent swimmer. I just learned how to surf. I was like one of the only islanders that did. I knew how to snowboard, but I didn't know how to surf. So I started that last year. But I'm pretty comfortable. Yeah.
Nice. You got family in Tonga?
Yeah, I got family everywhere, man. We Polynesian. And then, if you're successful and you Polynesian, like Dwayne Johnson, that's my cousin too. So I got family everywhere.
That's great.
I got to hang out with all your cousins this weekend at the Hola Hola Festival, man. I was in the middle of it all. Listen, all I want to do is get adopted, man. Those are my people. I love them, love being around them. It was a great time this weekend. Me and my wife were out there in the middle of it all. Had a great time.
Yeah. I think it's a good people's vibe. In Polynesia, worldwide, it's probably known as aloha, right? That good vibes, that mahalo, aloha. And it's almost a negative if you say no for hospitality or for food, right? But whether you're down south with black folks and you're eating Cajun food, I think good people are good people everywhere, and I'm glad that you had an amazing experience at Hola Fest, man. That's awesome.
I was shocked because, man, this guy, I never see Rene out at concerts. That's where you're gonna find me. And I was seeing on your Instagram, I'm like, man, I'm so happy that this guy that is always either working or out with his kids at sporting events is out there shaking his booty with his wife, listening to some music. You need to do that more often.
Hey, seriously, my wife was right in the middle of the mosh pit, up close in there, and having a good time. So, hey, we'll take it. It was fun. It was fun.
It's good for the soul.
Yeah, it is.
Sharpening the saw isn't always just personal development or business development. And you know how we are. Processes, protocols, procedures, objectives. man, that's going to catch you if you don't have an outlet and you plug into your soul. And the wifey and the spouse is something that's part of that. And just letting loose and drinking a little or whatever it is that's your flavor. I think that's part of being a champion and being the best self that we all can be.
It is.
Love it. I was telling Rene, this is my first time meeting you, so I get to just start from ground zero as far as getting to know you a little bit. You got your son out here, so
Yeah.
I'm just curious. So how many kids do you have? Where does he fit in?
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I come where I'm the fourth oldest of 9. That's a Polynesian family right there, right? And it's a mixed blended family. My dad had 3 kids before us, and there's 6 of us. So my wife and I, Martha, have 2 kids.
Okay.
You know, my mom told me that, you know, we're lacking courage. And I'm like, we're not in the islands. We don't need farm hands. We don't need security force, you know. And it's just my wife and I up here in Elk Grove. We have, you know, really no family support to watch the kids. So when we started going to Mary Hill schools, which cost some cheddar, when they were, you know, 2, 3, 4 years old, we had our daughter in Boise, Idaho while I was there. And my wife was in nursing school at Boise State. I was on the football staff there. We had our daughter, and I cried like a baby. I thought I wanted a boy, and it really changed my perspective, just like getting married. And then we had our son, Junior. You know, he's living that B-track life in Elk Grove, where it's a track system. So he's living his best life, playing video games and flight tracker all day. So he's here, and he's our youngest. He's 11, and our daughter's 14.
So where does he go to school?
He goes to Joseph Sims Elementary School in Elk Grove.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Play sports?
Yes. He's getting very good at that. He plays every sport right now. We cut out soccer because soccer and football we've been doing the past 2 years. Mm-hmm. And this year he's just going to focus on flag, and then he'll be playing football tackle next year.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
So football is your background, but I hear your NBA career that you were about to get to is on hold right now, man. Is that correct, man?
Hey, shout out Morse Park and the fam that allows me to be, you know, I'm the second skinniest Tongan at 47 you will ever meet. Shout out to Viliami Mao in San Diego with Ramana Fitness. He's a $180. I haven't been a $180 in 20 years, but I'm 220 today. But as we're just talking about kids and sports and all that, my main deal to lose weight is pick up basketball. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I am a point forward. They call me Draymond V. But now that the Warriors didn't win last year, I got to find, you know, I'm more like I'm the Joker, the Polynesian Joker. But I'm mainly a pass guy and set guys up and play hard defense, and then the cardio is just awesome. So I love hoops.
You got to get on a bike.
Oh yeah, so right now I got my Schwinn Walmart mountain bike.
Okay.
That it takes me an hour to do 10 miles, and all the street bike guys in their $5,000 bikes just like barely pedaling and just. But that's what I'm on to. So biking, I need to do that with my knees and all that. I'm biking.
Are you a Warriors fan?
So I'm a bandwagon fan of anything that's successful.
Okay.
So if, you know, like seeing the Jets last night and losing Aaron Rodgers, but they have a culture of success. They have a leader in their head coach. They have a leader on defense, offense. They're very good at their people equation. Man, I'll watch for that. And I think the Warriors' people equation, how they draft and develop prior to the last couple years has been amazing, a blueprint. So I study that. So that's why I'm a Warriors fan. But I'm a Lakers guy. I grew up in Pomona, California during, you know, Showtime, Magic, Byron Scott, you know, James Worthy and all those guys. But anything that's successful now, looking at Denver with what they're doing, and instead of trading guys and trying to get superstars, they developed the roster. Yep. They filled in the pieces, and they had 2 superstars that showed out last year. So I'm always studying success that way.
Man. Thank God the Sacramento Kings are finally starting to do that.
Oh,
Thank
my goodness.
goodness.
Yes.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, they're balling, and I want to cheer for the Kings. But as a Laker fan, the Kings fans are always on us for, big shot Rob Ory's shot back when I was in college in the 2000s.
Heartbreaking.
But to see those guys do what they're doing, my wife and daughter was at the Jonas Brothers concert last night at Golden One. I think the geographic region, the facilities, the new culture, and where they're headed, I can't help but be a fan of that. And live here in the 916, I mean, why not?
And you mentioned the Nuggets, so you probably caught that playoff series last year against the Nuggets and Lakers where the Lakers got swept.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah, everything was good, but boy, the good thing about the Lakers is they know how to get broomed, In the hood, it's like, my wife is like, it's called get the broom and sweep. And I always tell my kids, because English is my second language, so I was like, hey, broom the floor. And my wife is always like, it's sweep the floor. Okay, English is my second language. I'm doing pretty good, right? But boy, did the Lakers get broomed, boy. And it is what it is. But it just shows you, too, about culture and the wrong moves.
Yep.
With bringing in the wrong people and then relying heavily on superstars versus what the Jets did last night is having every phase of the game, having a rookie wide receiver return a punt to his house.
Gibson, man, that gave me goosebumps.
You know what I mean? After watching that guy on HBO, Hard Knocks, and then to see him do that last night.
Goosebumps.
I think those guys have a great people equation. They have a great culture equation. Obviously for Aaron, it's sad. I want to see what happens with that. But, man, I didn't go to the Jonas Brothers at Golden One so I could stay home and watch Aaron Rodgers. And then what I did end up seeing is organizational success.
Wow.
That's just my thoughts.
Yeah. Well, to your point on that, and I'm a 49ers guy, so
Same here.
So Saleh, obviously, phenomenal defensive coach. I mean, the Niners, if you look at their coaching staff, they've gone on to be head coaches at various teams. But to your point, when you're watching Hard Knocks, Saleh was locked in, and he's like, "You have this X factor."
Yeah.
And I thought they were cutting him when I was watching it, but they were on it, man. I mean, that coaching staff, there's some high level leadership there.
Yeah, and you'll find it. With your guys' company at Golden Bay, and everything that you're doing with your leadership, when you know who you are and you know who you're looking for in terms of the pieces. Like, those guys signed 2 rookie wide receivers that they probably really don't need. One of them took one to the house last night, and the other guy is a freak.
Yeah.
Right? And that guy is going to be the next coming of their superstar right now. So they know who they are. They know who they want to become. And they have a people equation that they're freaking unapologetic about. This is what we want. They went and got Aaron. They brought his wide receivers with him from Green Bay. They got championship guys on the defense. 4 turnovers.
I know.
I think that's just unfolding for me as an examples for life, leadership, business, and relationships for how to conduct what I do, and also consult and be a success coach and an amazing national keynote speaker to the companies that I serve.
Yeah, what brought you there, man? That's a daunting task for me. Like, just thinking of switching over from the football background, playing, then coaching, and you've been a leader your whole life, but at the same time, to be a motivational speaker and take these high-end companies, big-time companies, speak with them, coach their high-level people there. Tell me about that, man.
Yeah, it wasn't something that was planned. So prior to me being hired as the linebacker coach and recruiting coordinator at Boise State in 2006, I was the most asked and requested speaker on staff as a graduate assistant, making $380 a month, right? So then we won the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma in the 2006 season, 2007 Fiesta Bowl. Our head coach, Chris Peterson, who's now a Fox analyst, he left to Washington, was at Boise State. He had a corporate event to speak to, and it was the St. Luke's Health Systems. So they wanted one of the coordinators, the former head coach at Auburn, Brian Harsin, or Justin Wilcox, who is the current head coach at Cal. And he was like, nah, you want this guy. You want our recruiting coordinator. I spoke on 3 things. Character and integrity and work ethic is the reason why what we called our blue-collar mentality at Boise State. and what allowed me to go from being a 23-year-old walk-on at UC Davis at a non-scholarship school to now becoming the linebacker coach and recruiting coordinator at a premier program in America, in a place that it's not supposed to happen, like Boise State. Got a standing ovation, and I've been getting paid thousands to speak for minutes ever since.
Come on. What age were you when you went to Boise State?
Yep. So I was just between my ages of 31 to 39.
Okay.
Yeah, it was during my tenure there. I was there from 2003 to 2011. So 8 years.
Did you always know that speaking was going to be your thing, or were you more of focusing on athletics? Like, at what point share with us about that?
Yeah. So when I got called to be a graduate assistant at Boise State, I was a substitute teacher for a kindergarten class at River City Unified, which is in West Sac. Wow. I've never applied for a job, and I thought that I just wanted to get my teaching credentials and be a PE teacher and coach varsity high school. Like, that was really my plan. And then when Dan Hawkins, who's now back at UC Davis, called me up to be a graduate assistant, and I went there, and we were breaking down Iowa State with Seneca Wallace at the time. He's a big-time guy out of here at Sacramento City College. And then Miami. And I just moved in with my wife in an apartment just right off of Land Park, and she basically broke up with her family to move in with me. I flew up to Boise week 3 of that, and I came back and I told my wife, there's no way I can make $100,000 in the next year or two. You know, $100,000 a year back then, that's pretty good, right? I can't see myself making $100,000 for the next 10, 12 years in a year. If I do this in football, I'm going to be there in 3-4 years.
Wow.
Right? And so that's how I got that opportunity, and I'm just grateful for that. And that's why I do say, like, I'm not just like leaning back or leaning into my faith and going, because of God, all things are possible. There's no way that I scripted this. Who I am today as a national keynote speaker, man, I'm going to freaking Manchester, England in November. I'm speaking, you know, for the $40,000, $50,000 rate in Park City, Utah, for mortgage companies that I have no relevant experience or expertise. Like, the experiences that I'm having and the opportunities can only be explained by unmerited and undeserved favor of God. Now, the process to which I've leveled up in terms of being a speaker, a coach, and I coach individuals that are multifaceted, highly successful, billionaires, millionaires, 100,000aires that are changing the world. It wasn't a plan. It was something that I walked in faith according to what God placed in front of me. I have an amazing wife that allows me to do some crazy things. I'm the co-partner and part of the leadership of CryoMe in Elk Grove, California. I'm the president of Island City Media Group out of Hollywood, California. I have a Hollywood radio show, and I speak all over the country once or twice a month because I want to be home and coach my kids. And that's what I do for a living. And I do Zoom calls for thousands of dollars an hour. I mean, who can script that, right? So I'm just really grateful, but at the same time, I look to be the very best that I can be and an outlier within my industry. Because a lot of people don't know me. When they first see me, they got to go, damn, who was that?
Yep.
And so that takes a lot of preparation. And speaking in any language is a top 5 fear, right, Rene? You were just talking about that. And so I know the value of that superpower. I have felt the marketplace, because the marketplace will not overpay your ass if your ass don't come to market at value, let alone overpay your ass, right? And I'm just fortunate to live in that right now, and I'm going to try to keep pushing forward. At 47, I've accomplished a lot of things, but I feel like I got a long way to go and a lot more to level up in.
I know this is not coincidental, but I have to say this. So we start this podcast, right? And it's really the thing with Rene and I. We wanted to be organic. We wanted to just be real. We want to be, you know, you can't make this up, but you are now our 4th guest that is preaching just kind of the gospel. You know what I mean? Like, you're giving all glory to God.
Yeah.
Our first guest, Armando Gonzalez, he baptized me, right? We had a pastor in here, Tyrone, who played for the Chargers.
Yep.
big God guy.
Your champagne guy.
Big God guy.
I've been watching.
So,
Yes, sir.
so I think that God's kind of tugging at Rene a little bit right now. This is me personally. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But one of the shout outs I want to give to you, and this is something that I swear I hang my hat on. I'm in a very committed relationship with a beautiful woman, and her 2 daughters. I don't have a kid of my own yet. If God blesses me with that, then I cannot wait till that next chapter of my life. But we have a 9 and 11-year-old, 2 girls at the house, and one of the things that I do my best to instill into them is to speak up, right? So when I'm around them, I'm like this even with just everyone, right?
Right.
Is speak with passion. Let me hear you, right? And I was telling Rene prior to you coming here that obviously one of the most magnetic things about you when I was at the football camp, wow, just blown away with how just your passion, and it's just it is something that, you know what, like you know that those two things go hand in hand with one another, right?
Yeah.
Is just when you come in a room and you can just literally just lead with your levels, right? And so I know that that's something that I saw when you were at that football camp, man, and it stuck with me.
I appreciate that. And that's just part of everything it is we all do in this room, right? I call it the Coach V Power 5. So the Roman numeral for V is 5. Mm-hmm. And I feel that every championship person, not by theory of talking about what it takes to be a champion, it's all about how you think, how you feel, what you do, how you see things, and how you say things, right? So I teach it professionally as mindset, emotional intelligence, performance, perspective, and effective communication. So it's not all how you speak and the passion and the vigor and your ability to move people emotionally. It's not all about that, but it's 20%. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the people that can really effectively communicate via email to standards, expectations, like this is how we roll, this is how we do things. And they have a self-talk that I'm not really sure what I'm doing here, but I do know that I will figure it out.
Yeah.
That's more powerful than any phrase that you could hear from the outside of you. And then when you start having these self-conversations, because how can someone move someone else to become and achieve great things if they are not within themselves solidified in who they are and what they are, what their purpose is? And my purpose here isn't in this segment or when I get in front of people, is to say, look at me, look what I've done, right? I'm saying, why not you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. If I did it, why can't you? And especially here in the United States of America. And this will be my first time in Europe. I haven't done anywhere in Asia yet. So I'll be in Europe, Italy, and all that in July of next year. But I've traveled the world, and this is what I've found is that championship folks at a very high level that are effective and efficient in terms of the achievement of the goal, and then translating that cheddar, that money, that influence, that clout, that success into joy, peace, happiness, fulfillment, love, and family time. Those are some amazing people. And then when they take all of that in the service of others, I don't have time to do Invictus Youth Foundation, but really I don't not have time to do it. Because that is going to be the reason why when you say my name, Viliami Tuivai, when my son goes out to baseball tryouts, they'll go number 112, Viliami Tuivai. People in the stands will be like, is Coach V here? Right? That must be a good kid because I know his pops. His pops cusses like a motherfucker, but he's a good dude, and he's a good Christian guy, but he cusses a lot. It's like the old Dre, Chronic when it first came out. Yeah, I'm talking about like Eazy-E, NWA cussing. But if you'd also look at the person's actions.
Yes.
Not just what they say, where we started is like, hey, so what you say is huge. You combine that with your mindset, emotional intelligence, how you perform, execute daily habits, activities, routines, automated tasks that create flow, when you have amazing perspective in spite of success and or failure, and you can communicate to the market and your team and yourself what it is that the objectives are, and the standards are relentless every day. Why is it hard to win and be a champion? Because it's never freaking good enough. And most people can't handle that. But my ass wakes up every morning and go, damn, I weigh myself and I'm like, shit, I'm a half pound heavier than I was yesterday. I got to get better at that.
Yeah.
I only have this many clients. I need to get better at that. We only had 200 kids at the last camp. We need to get better at that. This is the attrition rate. Because if you're just going to walk around and not be that self-critical about yourself and your process, you're not going to get any better.
Yeah.
And that's not because we say that or Coach V says that. This is what life, leadership, and business tells us all.
Man, he is killing it for you out there. If you're listening to this, he's dropping stuff all over the place that we can all implement. Absolutely amazing. Do you still get nervous when you speak to these big companies and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so speaking for free is effortless.
Yeah.
Right? But when somebody pays you $10,000 a 15-minute session, or 20, or I got a $35,000 presentation coming up on the 24th of October. The sense of accountability and the sense of excellence that I have to deliver and then over-deliver, right, is huge. So, but once I get going, because faith is because of the man who created me. But now confidence comes from preparation. Practice? We're talking about practice? And Allen knows this, even though he's synonymous with that. The only way Allen Iverson can have a crossover like that is because of practice. Right? And so that's where my confidence comes from, because I'm not going to fucking go up there and shoot from the hip. There's a plan. They already have there's already a 78 PowerPoint pages that they already have the upload on the computer for October 24th. There's a process, replicable steps that replicate success. So I failed enough to know, like you say in Pomona, sugar-free, shout out Pomona, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready, right? So that's where that comes from. And yes, I still get nervous, but not more nervous than when I'm trying to approach my wife on some stuff because I messed up, but a different nervous in terms of accountability.
Nervous compared to when you were playing and getting on the field compared to when you step out to speak to people? Which one?
Yeah, so, I played a team sport. It's not like, shout out to Coco for winning the,
Gosh, that was
US
that
Open.
amazing?
Yeah, that's individual, right? And she's so young. So, but when you're a speaker, you feel like that. You feel the glare. But when you run out with 11 brothers on defense, man, I could just rip it, right? But if I had to punt the ball or shoot a free throw, my percentage might not be as high back then, right? Because the glare is just different. The accountability and when you feel responsible like I do, I care about everything. So much that after my daughter's volleyball game, she has to ride with my wife, because I'm going to be like, hey, when you did this? Because I'm just like always that I'm relentless with like, you could have done this better. You could, and that's me too, you know. So I don't feel it. I think it's harder to stand in the spotlight by yourself in anything that you're doing. That's why entrepreneurship is tough, because it ain't nobody's fault but the person you're looking at in the mirror, right? That's why being an insurance agent or real estate agent, if you don't have a big firm that creates leads, right? And then leads goes into a funnel, and then that funnel causes like engagement and contact point. And then you're trying to figure out what they want. And then that leads to a transaction or sale. So if you have to do all of that by yourself, the pressure's on. But when you have a team, man, many hands make for light work.
Man,
it just does.
I love it, man. And while we're still talking about team, before we transition out of that, I did get the chance to have a round of golf with your college coach and had some great
Coach Biggs?
Coach Biggs. We had a great round with him. He told me a few good stories, but I want to hear some college football stories from your point of view. Give us something from college in your time on that field.
Yeah, so former 49er JT O'Sullivan, shout out to that cat.
QB?
Yeah, he's from Jesuit High School. He's a local 916 guy. Him and Charlie Enos. Right now, the Panthers NFL team, Ejiro Evero, shout out to him. He's the defensive coordinator for the Panthers. Shout out to Nate Hackett. He's now the Jets offensive coordinator. So my college stories, and this is my quote from my book, Life Champion, there's money in the transaction, but the wealth is in the relationships. No question, my experience at UC Davis changed the trajectory of my life. I got hired by a Davis guy at Boise State. He went to Colorado. He didn't do what Prime was doing. He got fired 3 years later. But then another Davis guy stayed at Boise State. Chris Peterson hired me. But really, my college story is one of relationships, like J.T. O'Sullivan, Ejiro Evero. Shout out to Charlie Enos. And then shout out to Robbie Flannery. Shout out to Nate Hackett. He was the goofiest, most amazing linebacker, long snapper we've ever had. And look at what he's doing. He's a former, he had a short stint with the Denver Broncos, but that's part of the process. And so my college stories is filled with people that believed in me, like Bob Biggs. And then the guys that I met in the locker room who always made fun of me, like, you should be the starter. You're the oldest motherfucker in this room. You're like freaking 24 years old. You're a sophomore, right? Because I came and walked on after bouncing nightclubs and then just trying to get my life back together. And so I came over. I visited UC Davis. Back then, there was no scholarship. They didn't have money to fly me up for an official, visit. Like the recruiting coordinator that I know now, I paid for everything. And then I came there. I told them that I'd go back and get the classes done that I would. And then I showed up and called and was like, hey, Coach, Viliami Tuivai here. What's up, Villamama? How you doing? Coach is Viliami. But, yeah, I got those classes done. I love to come, walk on there at UC Davis. And UC Davis is very different from what it was now. We had to buy a spirit pack. Like we were in high school, like we didn't get the free Adidas and all that they get now. We played at Toomey Field, which is just a glorified. UC Davis High School had more fan space for their fans than ours at UC Davis, but now they're well on their way, and that place really changed my life in terms of the standards for the classroom. Instead of being mediocre, like I went from being a C at best just because I hate school. Real talk. And that's why I teach adults to let your kids be entrepreneurs or go to a trade school, because not everybody loves school. But I love football, so I had to do school to do football. And I got there, and these guys are like, I mean, how are you a biomolecular engineer, right? John Shoemaker was our captain. He wore number 5 before I did. And the dude got all A's. Right? And he made like an NFL contract graduating from Davis because of his excellence in the classroom and excellence in everything, because not doing that is mediocrity in everything. So that's my college deal stories. And then really, beating guys like Otis Amy. Shout out Otis Amy and them on the football field, undefeated against Sac State. And even though Sac State is the powerhouse they are right now in the conference that Davis is in, fortunately, during my tenure there, we had a team that would, we had 3 scholarships amongst 110 guys, and we're playing guys like Sac State, where they had guys like Otis Amy, lightning fast, plays for the 49ers, right? After that, and man, those guys were lightning fast, but we still beat that ass. Yes. But not now. Sac State, shout out Sac State, y'all balling, doing your thing. Shout out, got a lot of respect for that staff, what they're doing, the new staff now, and the staff that's at Stanford.
I go to Midtown Church. I'm good friends with Bob Ballion. I'm sure you know Bob.
I know the name, but okay. I don't think we've met.
But we went on a mission trip to Mexico, and one of the kids there, his name is Isaiah, and he's the field goal kicker, punter for UC Davis.
Yeah.
Having a really
tall
good career.
Cat.
Yeah, very tall.
Yeah. He's from. I read up on that cat.
Really, his dad's amazing. He's got great siblings.
Man, I was like, you're a punter?
Yeah.
Like, damn, dude. Dude's like 6 foot something, right?
Yeah, he's like 6'3".
Yeah, he's a tall dude. And I'm a recruiting coordinator all the time, right? So I'm just like, yeah. this kid plays punter?
Yeah.
And they need a safety. I'm looking at the defense right now. They need a safety.
What position did you play?
I played outside linebacker. So Nate Nelson, who was the program guy, got recruited there, been there since high school. He was a strong safety, so they asked me, it's like, look, you guys could either battle this out and one of you guys are off the field, or our best 11 if you move the will linebacker. And I just said yes until I played in the box the first game against Texas A&M Commerce. And when you play in the box and you're 205 pounds, you get rolled up by them offensive linemen real quick. So I had to learn really quickly, but that place changed my life. It was amazing. Amazing.
Hey, you were speaking about routines. I was trying to track you, but speaking about routines, but man, shout out to my guy Rene right here, because I'm reading a book right now called Well-Being. So I'm not sure if you heard of the book.
I have not.
Strengths Finder. Have you heard of Strengths Finder?
I've heard of that.
Okay,
yeah.
so same author. Anyways, great book, and it's talking about what you touched on, which is there's wealth in relationships.
Yeah.
Right. But one of the things that the key book talks about is the people that you spend the most time around, right?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, are going to have similar habits as you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And shout out to this guy, man, because he's one of the only dudes that I know that is consistently waking up at 4 a.m.
Him and the late Kobe Bryant, 4:30 a.m.s.
Right?
Man.
And it's
Rene.
crazy. And it's crazy because it's like when I'm talking to this dude, it's like, because it's in this book that I'm reading right now, is like, if you're consistently being around people that are eating the right food, exercising, reading the right books, chances are it's going to rub off on you. You know what I mean? So I mean, I'm sure do you have some people like that in your life? Because this is in my circle, that this is the dude that I hung my license at his office. So I literally went from working at a traditional real estate brokerage to being like, man, I gotta have close proximity to this dude because he makes me better, right?
Yes, sir.
Who's that in your life?
Yeah, she lives and sleeps in the same bed I do. So she's getting ready for the CIM. Martha and I have been married for 16 years. July 7, 2007. We just celebrated our 16th. I mean, she got up and ran 12 miles on Saturday.
Let's go. Is this going to be her first CIM?
Nope. This will be her second.
Okay, nice.
And so she's an award-winning Daisy Award. So the Daisy Award for nursing is like the Heisman for nursing. And she won that award 1 year into being at Kaiser. So she is a person of excellence. And for everybody out there, yeah, there's money in the transaction, but the wealth is in the relationship.
That's it. Let's go.
But be careful who you choose as a spouse. Man. Number one choice, I believe, in your adulthood is not where you choose to go to school, what your major is, none of that, right? You can choose any profession you want, but if your spouse is off, you either fix it or get recruiting, one or the other. But the person for that for me is, I mean, my wife has 2 kids, and she still looks amazing. She eats right? She trains. And she has a vision, like my vision is still pretty mechanical. I'm pretty audacious, but she was like, yeah, I want to get a pool. And this is right before COVID, and I cried. I was like, man, I just don't make enough right now, right? And then I said, but we'll catch up with that. But because I'm just like, we don't need that. We need this to function and create this. But she brings vision like, no, we should be driving. Like I'm seeing Rene and them drive like all these nice vehicles. And I was like, nah, I'm blue collar. I drive my Kia, and I love my Kia Telluride. But we about to upgrade, right? We're going to be making car payments on her car coming up here when she turns, on her birthday, October 27th, is bigger than the mortgage payment.
Can I tell you something?
But like, why not?
Yeah.
So she impacts my habits and my mentality for your question. Yes, sir.
A pool is a necessity. So I'm
It is now. So we got one. So I went jogging yesterday for a few miles and did some jumping jacks and push-ups in the corner, and I got home, took everything off, and that's the good thing about having your own pool. You could skinny dip anytime you want. You could just jump in the pool with all your clothes, whatever.
Man, I love it. Man, I'm so just like speechless right now because Rene knows my girlfriend. She's a beast, bro. And I just completely in awe of her, of just how she handles herself.
What I tell you early about her, man? Don't fuck this up.
I know.
In the words of Beyonce,
let's go.
If you like it, then you better put a ring on it. That's all I'm saying, bro, because they're hard to find.
But to your point, like we're 7 days into, we're both doing the 75 hard challenge right now, and I sent her a text this morning, and I'm like, I just gotta just thank you, because I know a lot of dudes that I know that I'm friends with that don't have significant others that would even be doing this. Number one, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, know that Renee's in the same house. I mean, your wife, Marie's a beast, right?
Reason why I wake up early is for her as well. So we're talking about the same things.
Yeah,
very familiar with this. So thank you for shouting that. You're a lucky man too.
Yeah, very blessed. I mean, her vision is, because I'm very pragmatic still, again, and she's like, yeah, we're going to go camping. I was like, what? Camping is like practicing being homeless. I was almost homeless when I grew up in the hood. I don't want to do that. Then we go camping. I'm like, this is awesome. I could sit here and look at the campfire longer than Sports Center and not say anything. Just sit there and look at the fire. And then we've been to, Yosemite. We've been to Yellowstone, that whole camping. And then she's like, I want to take vacations. And I'm like giving so much to my culture and my family that it made me reassess how we do our finances. Like, how the hell we make this kind of money and we can't go on a family vacation, right? So we now have 2 7 days, and I do a 18-day in December because I work for myself. So then I just don't work, and we were going to Maui in December. Now we switched it to Kona, right, because of the deal that happened in Maui. So we're very strategic, but she's always like, why not us? We need to push and get this Mercedes-Benz. I was like, yeah, I'm going to buy it for you, but I'm going to drive it. That's my vision right there. Tongan brother ain't never owned a Benz, a BMW, all these electric vehicles. But, man, she has been the number one business, faith, family decision I have ever made.
Wow.
Life altering, man. I mean, I can't even believe I wake up what time. Like, I was a dude who slept, even when I was 28, 29 years old, sleep until 10, 12 o'clock on the weekends and everything like that, not wanting to let somebody down. And when you truly want to be around somebody, I don't want to waste the time. I have to be at a certain level to make sure I don't waste time with the person I enjoy spending time with. It's a big motivating factor. Fear is a big motivating factor as well. I don't want to mess this up, is really what it is. So, you got to find your time when you can. But if you would have told me at 18 years old that I'd be waking up at 4 o'clock, I'd have laughed in your face, man. Like, you got to be kidding me. And here we are. That's what picking the right person does.
Well, I would say too that my mom and dad divorced when I was 2, and I'm so big on this. I talked about this with my girlfriend Kendra, that like, I think that there's certain male figures in my life that I've become close friends with because I didn't have that. And something that I yearn for is structure and system and accountability, because I didn't have that. And one of the things that we always talk about with Rene is, I know his kids are watching, right? When he wakes up at that certain time, or when he says he's going to do this physique competition and he's doing it during COVID, right? So can you touch on that? I mean, I'm just curious to know with your kids, right? I'm sure they're watching, and just kind of touch on that in your world. And obviously your kids know, they see what dad does, right? Is that something that fires them up? Like, what's that look like?
At their age, I'm not sure if they're always fired up. But, for example, on Saturday, we were at an all-day tournament, just like you are with baseball. That's and your daughter and your son. And then, so we come home Saturday night, and my son is up playing video games. I give him his own time, and I'm like, hey, what do you think about doing the 7 a.m. Sunday? We do our 7 a.m. Sundays with our flag football team and just work on track. Yeah. Like just outright linear speed, right? And then and he texts me back and goes, sure, let's do it. My daughter this morning, they're 6-2. They're probably going to run the league. She doesn't need extra reps. And at 7:25 a.m. this morning, we were doing reps inside our area, right in our driveway. And we got the volleyball out, and we're out there smacking it, right? And I coach my kids hard. And they watch Hard Knocks. They're like, Dad, they talk just like you do? Right? Because I'm like, that's not fucking it. Pay attention to what I'm asking you.
Yes.
Right? So my daughter right now has a very hard coach coaching her, and their team is really good as freshmen. It's the best freshman team they've ever had. They won the consolation. They lost a couple games early in the tournament after winning their first, but they won the consolation bracket, right? And so they're pretty good. But her coach is hard, but not harder than me.
Man.
So, you know what I mean? The standards and the expectations don't change. If you want to be a starter, here's the standards and what you got to do that.
Yeah.
If you want to be an all-league player, and as a recruiting coordinator, you're using the format that the great coaches that I was a part of, it's like that's how we recruit. So this guy that we're recruiting at quarterback, his name was Kellen Moore, left-handed Joe Montana out of Prosser, Washington. He was formerly the offensive coordinator as of late for the Dallas Cowboys, and now he's the offensive coordinator for the Chargers. So we were looking at this kid who was throwing like 8,000 yards a game since he was a freshman in high school at Prosser, Washington, playing for his dad. Not a lot of arm strength, left-handed Joe Montana, man. But his timing, his decision-making, his accuracy was amazing. That kid doesn't become that. And we thought that kid was a generational MVP talent, right? But we're also recruiting Colin Kaepernick. Right?
Are you talking about Boise State right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. So then, like, what are the standards? How do you become prepared to play on a level like that and have options like that? DJ Uiagalelei, he was the starting quarterback for Clemson. Right? His dad and I went to Ganesha and Marshall Junior High School together, and Ganesha High School. Right? And you look at how they are, and they're almost tiger dads, tiger moms, tiger parents, man, but the expectations don't change if you want to be great. Yeah. So the way that it is with my kids is, so then at the same time, my daughter went to a Jonas concert last night, woke up this morning, did reps, but then I asked my son last night, while I'm trying to watch the Jets game, I'm like, hey, man, so they're going to the concert, what you want to do? He goes, I want to go plane spotting. So we're driving over by the Sacramento River where the runway is for the planes to land in Sacramento last night while the Jets game is going on, right? So that's where I'm a very demanding father, but if you do what it is that you should be doing, we could do whatever it is you want to. So we're out here with the mosquitoes and everything, watching Southwest Airlines and Delta planes, and he knows all, landing while the Jets game is going. Aaron Rodgers just got hurt, right? And then after that, it's like my daughter goes, hey, so instead of doing this on Saturday, I would rather do this. You earned that.
Wow.
Man, I'm fascinated by it, Todd. You know
that.
This is where it's at, though. So going back to your question, I don't think my kids really understand, like, all the stuff that we're instilling. It's almost cheat code stuff of what we're getting them stuff way down the line that they will be able to refer back to. But it's just normal in our household. So
that's right.
I don't believe they really know. They're watching. I agree with that. But go ahead.
I was just going to say this, that I know y'all can relate to this. When they become adults.
That's where it is.
Oh, my God. I look back at, like, how much stuff I retained when I was, like, 7 years old or 8 years old. And I might not have been vocal with it when I was that age. But it makes me emotional right now, thinking it as an adult, right?
Yeah.
As an adult, as they get older and they see the world and they see other households, because your household that you're describing is not normal.
Right.
Your household is not normal.
That's right.
Yep.
Right? And as they get older and older and they get to see what the real world's like, man, they're gonna be like, man, I am so blessed to have the dad that I have.
I agree with you, and I got to bounce this off of you on here because this is still my big theory thing, and I'm not sure I'm doing it right, but I'm giving it everything I have. The thing is, I know they might not get it yet. I think they will get stuff down the line. One of the things that they're in the middle of is they do got a comfortable life. And right now I'm more conditioning the putting in the work, but they don't have the fire yet because you know what? It still is comfortable. We can go do what they want. And I'm a big person about putting in the work, then we go have as much fun as possible.
That's
I'm
right.
a big old kid, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna have, as long as they're handling their business. So that's a big thing. But when do they find their fire is a question of mine, because they have to develop it themselves. I want to plant the seeds for this hard work that will translate into everything. But at the same time, I do have to lower myself. I want to be 10 times crazier than I am. People see me now because I've been through it a few times. We got 3 kids, so even with my young 9-year-old, I'm way calm on the side compared to what I want to be, just because I've been through it a little bit and I know how little it matters about what they do on the field right now. But bigger picture, I'm just not sure. Should I be a little bit more up than what I am because I'm trying to back off because I think I could push them off or not? This is all things that are going through my head that I'd love to bounce off of you.
Yeah. So as a parent and as a person that has had over 5,000 kids come through our doors for free programs, as a person that has seen kids come to kids camp with their parents, and then we ended up giving them scholarships, and then they went on to play at the NFL at Boise State.
Yep.
I have to tell you that you're doing a phenomenal job. And that if you feel like you're not doing that, because you're already at the level you are, adjust. I will say this about our kids. When we say they really don't know, is the fact that to them as kids, as a person that I deal with kids with my foundation, I have been around kids forever in terms of athletic performance in baseball, volleyball, swimming, snowboarding, skiing, soccer, and baseball. I may have said baseball twice. But is this, it may not be top of mind, but they're aware of it.
Yes, I agree with that.
They may not be focused and know it like we want them to know it, but our kids are outliers because they're in our household. When they see the other schmuck that's not practicing, that their parents really don't care, that they don't call them out in terms of this is how you get better. You need to adjust back to the fundamentals. You need to believe and walk up there and freaking swing. You're not thinking. It's like see it, hit it. If you strike out, move past that. Get back to the plate the next time, go again, right? Those are things is the only way to create the amazing human beings that are accountable and be amazing parents in the future. There's no other way. There's no other way. And the good thing about good parents is they know they don't know it all. They know that they're not perfect, but they're going to try their best when they wake up every morning. They're going to apologize. They're going to say, my bad. But they're also going to be like, that shit you just did, that shit's unacceptable. You cannot talk to your sister like that ever again. Do you understand what I'm saying? They see my wife and I do that all the time. So everything initially comes from modeling. Then from there, our kids are going to learn one way or another. And they're going to learn that if they do it the wrong way, and if you touch fire, you're going to get burned. If you hang around people that are freaking stupid, doing dope, what our generation called doing drugs, doing things that you should not be doing, you get caught up. Won't let me out. I mean, this is how life, leadership, and business works. So I think you're doing a phenomenal job, right? And this is the only thing we need to worry about as parents is who we and our spouse think about how we raise our kids. Because we're the only one who pays the price and will live with the consequences. What everybody else thinks, fuck them.
Yeah.
And I'm a Christian parent, but I'm saying if you don't think my kids, you think I really give a fuck?
Yeah.
Well, go back and do what we do. And that's how we live. And we're going to live with the consequences of that and adjust forward according to our priorities, our objectives, and the goals.
Gosh, you know, the thing that drives me crazy is I feel like us a lot of kids in general, they're just timid. They're a little shy, a little timid, right? I've been around you for 45 minutes and I want to go out and conquer the world right now, right? And a lot of that comes from your passion, bro, right? And I went to Kendra's got 2 girls, like I mentioned, a 9 and 11-year-old. The 11-year-old's a pretty good athlete, and she's playing soccer. So I went to her game on Sunday, and it was one of the first times I got to see her play. And what I noticed and what I observed is you have far more parents that are just kind of there in the motions, sitting, they're just kind of just going through the motions, right?
Right.
And I feel like I don't think that as I'm listening to you guys too, and as I know his kids, very well, I don't think the end goal of what needs to be done is that they need to play sports as a career. I think the end goal is, if you're gonna do something, do it at your highest level.
That's right.
100%.
Right? If you're gonna do something, do it at your highest level, right? If you're gonna speak, don't speak like this. Let me hear you.
Yeah, that's right.
Let me hear you, because I know firsthand that this is preparation for the real world.
It is.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly what this is.
So
the best way to teach life.
That's it. Hey, I'm curious, going back to Boise State, can you name when you were there, can you name some of the players that went on to go play in the NFL that were from Boise State?
Yeah, man. Shea McClellan he's from Marsing, the city of Marsing, went to Marsing High. Nobody's even heard of this.
I don't even know where that's at.
He grew up on a little town called Marsing on a road, Chicken Dinner Road is when we went and did his home visit. Shea McClellan, look him up. Drafted by the Bears in the first round, and then went over to the Patriots and won a Super Bowl. Ryan Clady was an offensive tackle. He's the first guy to ever go in the first round out of Boise State, and he left as a junior, right? We could go on and on, but like the starting DN right now for the Dallas Cowboys, he's a Boise State guy. Baller, right? And we could go down the list, but these guys were great at their field, but they're amazing human beings. Ian Johnson, we won the Super Bowl. We won the Super Bowl. We won the Fiesta Bowl. And then after he scored the touchdown, he runs over and he proposes to the cheerleader on the sideline.
Yes.
That dude runs one of the best insurance agents in the history of Idaho as a business person, right? Nick Schleckaway owns one of the biggest real estate firms. He was a guy that could have went to UCLA, had a couple other whack schools, came to Boise State out of Eagle Eye, Idaho. And that mindset and that emotional state to be willing to live with the consequences of failing, like, this is what I want, this is what I'm going for. That's the deal, right?
Incredible.
And then what we're talking about here is a step beyond that, because that's when you're a real life champion. Life lessons that yield championship results. If you cannot translate your everyday success into joy, peace, happiness, fulfillment, love, family time, and most success, you're missing.
Man, incredible.
By the way, side note, my favorite rapper in the entire world right now played on defensive line at Boise State. His name is Rex Live Raj.
I gotta look. He's a younger guy, huh?
He's a younger guy.
Yeah.
Got dreads. I think he's probably like in his late 20s.
They all got dreads now.
But he's from Oakland.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
He's from Oakland. Played defensive line at Boise State. Pretty incredible guy. So yeah, check that out. A little side note.
Man, love it. Before we transition to another time, I do want you to speak and elaborate more on your youth foundation that I am so fond of. I want people to hear, know, and the movement that you're doing in your area. Tell us about that.
Yeah, shout out to the Invictus Youth Foundation family. I am the founder and the president, CEO, but it's definitely a community and a family in a 916 deal. We put on free camps and clinics and programs where it is our hope that each child in our program, that they know what character is, they make choices that reflect the highest level of integrity, that they absolutely believe that they can excel in academics, and that they strive to be a champion in every phase of their life. Now, we use sports to really instill, integrate, teach, and empower and encourage our children. We have been since 2013, 9 years. This will be a decade that we're doing it. We have used football, soccer, basketball, snowboarding, skiing, and volleyball. We're adding baseball this coming year in 2024. And we really just encourage kids, positive coaching and making sure that they know this phrase. And we ask our kids to memorize it, that I believe in me, what I believe will be, respect all and to fear nothing. I will not be bullied and the bully will not be me. I believe in me and what I believe will be. So we're using sports as our conduit. A lot of the people that do and put money and grants into that, they want to go more molecular engineering, sciences, and math. I get all that, but I'm not an expert in that. What I'm an expert is really helping kids and adults and companies believe in an environment that's conducive to excellence and striving regardless of the probability of failure, that you try anyway, and then you give your best. You adjust accordingly after you evaluate yourself and bring your best foot forward the next time. So we're located here in the Elk Grove region. We don't have a physical space yet, but with people like Rene on our board and helping with our golf event, this will probably be the first time we ever sell out our event, is that we want to be able to touch as many lives as we can. And now we're going into high school, having high school level camps starting this December with volleyball.
Amazing. And that's what brought us together. When I saw what you were doing in the community, it's things that I wish I had more time for.
Yeah.
And so I just want to be a part of people who are making a difference like you. So this foundation is just amazing when I see what's happening and what it's going to continue to grow to. How can people listening help your foundation?
Yeah, so the big day of giving is a day that here in the region that everybody donates on our website, invictusyouthfoundation.org, or on the events that we have on Eventbrite. There will always be a donate button. But we're not just, everything is not just financial. We appreciate any funding that you could donate to us, but we appreciate even more so the fellowship and the relationship. We're looking for dynamic and amazing coaches in those fields, people who could teach snowboarding and skiing, people that will volunteer and stand hand in hand, which we are a 100% volunteer organization currently. We do have some people on staff that work on stipend and hourly, but nobody's on salary and nobody's making $100,000 a year off of this deal, which I think we're a year away from. But that's where we need help. If you have land, we need land. If you got building space, we need building space. And if you just want to come and rock with just some good people, come hang out and fellowship. No funding, no donation needed or required.
Amazing. You've seen it up close, man. You've been to the football camp, right? That's where you saw him
What
the first
did you think of the football camp? I didn't even know you at the time,
Hey,
and I didn't even know a dude like you was in the audience.
Hey, to be honest, yeah, I was one of the dudes. Charles had me running drills with some of the kids, which is funny enough, like out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because I'm somebody that will get up and you'll hear my projection, but I'm like, I don't know. I feel like, as weird as it sounds, I feel like I'm a little intimidated when I'm around kids.
Yeah.
But you came out. I was like, damn, who is this dude?
I appreciate that.
And shout out to Austin Eckler too.
He came out again. He comes out every year.
And
shout out to Austin, even though y'all lost versus my cousin, my nephew Tua. Yeah, we related because he Polynesian and he doing well in the NFL, so I'm claiming Tua. Even though that they didn't do well, Austin Eckler still is doing what Austin Eckler does. Probably one of the smaller physical bodies. But if you don't have him on your fantasy team, you better get him on your fantasy team because that dude is a touchdown machine.
Hey,
my number one pick, baby.
Yeah.
Real quick, too. I'm watching his IG the other day, and he had touched on that. But when I saw him in person, I was like, holy shit, this dude just kind of looks small. But when you see him in the weight room,
Beast.
unbelievable. And he talks about it's up here. It's up here. It's the mindset. You know what I mean? But yeah, I was just blown away by what you brought, the energy you brought.
And then you got star power. I mean, what we do is great, but when you attach that to star power, right? And for those of you that are in the NBA or you're in golf and you're out there doing your thing professionally, hey, we pay. I don't ask Austin Eckler like, hey, for the goodness of your heart. That dude is a Pro Bowl level guy.
Yes.
I raise money year around to donate to his foundation. So we don't pay Austin, but I want to be able to give the dude a $10,000 check for his foundation for his time. The dude is one of the most. Who else has scored 38 touchdowns in the last 2 years in one game?
It's incredible.
Man.
If I'm off on those numbers, it'll be by 1 or 2, but not by much. Man. Right? And then the person that he is.
Gosh.
We pay him to come down here or the foundation for a 2-minute speech. What does that dude do?
Oh, he was there.
He's like, bro, I can't I got to coach the running backs at least, coach. I'm like, hey, Austin, I didn't want to overreach, but he's just such a good dude like that, right? Like he's going to engage, right? That's how we roll. It's like we're going to see that we can bring value. We might get paid from it, but either way, we're going to reach out and touch someone and make some things happen, right? And that's a shout out to my boy Austin, the Austin Eckler Foundation. Shout out to the Chargers. And Kellen, if you're listening, it's your boy Coach V here. Give Austin the ball more. Screen situations, leak him out. You know what I mean? Let's get that boy the ball.
Let's go. Hey, I know that we're running low on time, but I'm just curious about this part. I want to get this out. As your speaking career continued to develop, were there any speakers that you studied or any books or authors? This is 100% just like stuff that you kind of generated on your own. I'm just curious on that.
Yeah, so the curriculum I made up on my own that came from me. So one of the reasons why I became a success coach for Jack in the Box, Corner Bakery, Denny's, and Popeyes is because they're like, you're the only speaker that came here and was like, life is struggle, struggle is life, misery is optional. Viliami, Tuivai. Like I was teaching my own juice. But in terms of where did I get this juice from or how did I model it? My dad was the first Tongan Elvis Presley, right? So because I speak, but there's a lot of humor and entertainment in how I deliver. Because that's the juice, right? I call it inspirtainment, inspiration, entertainment. If you can't do that, you will never be paid what I get paid as a speaker. And I'm not judging you. I'm just saying that music, television, sports, movies, Top Gun, man, Backdraft. Everybody knows this from Backdraft. When you go, we go, right? When you add those kind of human entertainment value into how you speak, it's amazing. But I saw that from my father, Semisi Tuivai. My grandfather was the only non-black Baptist pastor in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Damn.
Like he was there with all the boxers, with Holmes and all those guys, right? And this is a Tongan cat. And the dude can spit scripture. And he was like, you gotta be a pastor. I was like, Grandpa, I just fucking cuss too much to be a pastor. But I promise you, I can impact people's lives. But God just doesn't have that on my path, right? And then you go to Les Brown, right? Old school from Southeast Idaho, Jim Rohn, right? You go to Gary V, right? You look at all these guys that are amazing, that are monsters in my field that I actually have a platform because they created it. Tony Robbins, right? Then I met a dude named Brendan Bouchard that put now formulas and frameworks that you just don't feel good by being around this guy. You have frameworks like Stephen Covey. I saw Dr. Stephen Covey live at Boise State in 2008, right? So the culmination of seeing those dudes and how people reacted to the academic curriculum, but I add all the humor, like all the top comedians that are out there, right? I watch all those guys to become a better speaker. Because when you can intertwine academic material that'll help transform the way people think and their knowledge acquisition to be successful, but you add the feeling and the entertainment.
Damn.
Inspirtainment, baby.
Killing it.
Let's go.
Let's go. Killing it.
Just made me think too. I know that we're all watching this right now unfold, before our eyes, but Deion Sanders is doing a phenomenal.
Coach Prime, hey, Coach Prime.
Gosh, he's doing a great job right now.
I'm your biggest bandwagon fan right here. Because when you talk about how Prime do it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. People told me I couldn't do it. I did it in the NFL. I did it in Major League Baseball. Now I'm doing it in coaching. I did it in high school. I did it at a historical black college. Now I'm doing that Division I.
Let's go.
Man, if you can impact how people think, how they feel, what they do, how they see things, and how they say things. That's what I say right now, right? My main example, how you want to change the organization? Look at what Coach Prime is doing.
Yep.
But he's talking it and delivering. They've won double the games in 2 games that they've won last year in 14 games, 13 games, right? It's just amazing.
Insane.
And I think Matt Rule, they played Nebraska this past weekend. I think Coach Rule is going to do a phenomenal job because at Nebraska, if you ain't got those resources and you can't win at a historical school that's won national championships that I've watched, you've watched, you're just not a good coach.
Yeah.
But they're going to be good. But people don't want that no more because now that they've seen Coach Prime do it, every AD in America that wouldn't hire that cat is now going, where's our Coach Prime?
Wow.
He could be white, Mexican, Polynesian. It don't matter. But we need somebody who can dramatically create metamorphosis and change. Inward change and metamorphosis with outward performance and results.
And to tie it all the way back, too, let's tie it all the way back to the flowers I was giving both of you guys. The dude is a father. He is an amazing father. And I'm not just saying that.
That's
obviously,
right.
He's a father to so many kids. I don't know if you guys heard Michael Irvin give the soundbite that Michael Irvin gave to Dion, but Michael's like, bro, this is how Dion's been since I've known him. He's just a father figure to so many people. And when I was texting him, I knew Rene was watching the game on Saturday. I'm texting Rene going, I know what Dion's doing right now is amazing, but his son is elite.
No question.
His
No question.
son is not. His son is elite.
Yeah. So one of the things I think that you both have, everybody here in this room has, right? Prime has this. Like, people don't give a shit what you know until they know how much you care. Like, that might also mean I care for the program that all you numbnuts, y'all got to go. But everybody else, like, who follows another guy from another school and then comes from high school to play 140-something snaps unless you go with a guy to a place that does not win?
Yeah.
Like Boulder, Colorado, where black folk, really, there's not a lot of black folk out there. I'm talking real talk from a guy who recruited kids out of Compton, out of L.A., out of Hawaii, out of Texas to Boise, Idaho. It's not Boise, it's Boise. But you don't know that unless you've lived there for a minute, right? But when people know that you care, it takes longer to get them there, but the performance out of everything that you read in terms of research, it's life-changing, right? People are more engaged. People show up. People perform higher, right? They feel appreciated, cared for, and genuinely cared that somebody cares about their genuine welfare, care, and concern. This guy did it during everything that's going on. He cut out a lot of things that he could do, and he didn't cut one person from the staff, did you? Instead of doing what everybody else does is cut people, right? But that is so galvanizing, and that's what Prime is doing. Do I know all of it? But as an outside person that I freaking study and get hired in industries to talk about success as an expert, this is what I've seen.
Killing it. I've been a lifelong fan of Colorado since September of 23.
Bandwagon, it's feeling comfortable too.
It's crazy.
Hey, the 98-year-old woman, play my theme music.
That was so good.
Like all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so especially in a time, because Dion couldn't do this in the 80s or the 90s.
Right.
But with social media, he don't need NBC, Sports Center, Fox Sports. Man, his IG is just blowing up. That is the most intriguing success story on the planet. Not just in football, not just in baseball, not just in business. Because you want to talk about, they hired a guy that they didn't have money for, but they knew that he would come there and make it happen and then get all the money it is that they need and more. They're 100x on what they used to get in donations last year.
Crazy.
Yeah, wrap your mind. When I heard that, I was like, I can't even wrap my mind around that they literally raised $28 million.
Every SEC school right now is going, this shit don't work out, we're going to go after Dion. Mm-hmm. And then the guys at Florida State, this is the irony of sports. So right when Dion leaves the historical black college, Jackson State, to come over to Colorado, Florida State starts winning more. Could you believe how hot that dude's seat's going to be if the freaking Prime, who's from Florida State, and you lose 5 games straight, Dion going to be sitting in your chair.
Oh, yeah.
And every other big school who can afford it, SC, Notre Dame, LSU, like those schools can afford it. Texas. Yep. Texas just beat Alabama. You know, if Texas didn't beat Alabama at Alabama, man, Prime would be getting phone calls from that place, because that's how this thing works. And this, I want to get to this before we finish here, is this. Okay, when you become what it is that you want, what you used to chase, you become more effective and efficient in terms of chasing it. But now what you used to chase now starts chasing and is attracted to you. Deion Sanders.
Man, come on.
We got to end on that. Let's just ask the one question of the dinner.
Dead or alive, you have a dinner with one person, who would that be?
Man. Always 100% my parents.
I love it, man.
I love my wife. I'm a man of God. And Jesus got enough other people to have dinner with. I still got my parents today.
Oh.
They brought this kid here. And I'll be forever grateful for them.
Man.
And if I could, I'd love to share one poem.
Please do.
So here's a
Please
Coach
do.
V poem for you.
Man.
And I brought a couple of things to share as well. That if you think you're beaten, you are. And if you think you dare not, you don't. And if you'd like to win, but think you can't, it's almost certain you won't. And if you think you lose, you've lost. But out of the world we find, you see, success comes from a person's will, a champion state of mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are, because you have to think high to rise. You have to be sure of yourself before you could ever win a prize. Because life's battles don't always go to the strongest woman or man. But sooner or later, the one who wins is the one who thinks they can. Thank you to Brother Rene and Brother Chris for having this Tongan brother named Viliami Tuivai here. Until next time, one love, everybody. Thank you.